Hey guys, Infidel 1258 here. Today I want to talk about Rebellion, but I want to talk specifically around which cards are going to get nerfed first. We know that the information shown on the maps, we also know that the information released by content creators such as myself is just the first preliminary. It's not final until it's final. December 5th, that's when I believe what the final stats are. Until then, everything's up for debate. And as I look at some of these Rebellion cards, a few of them are overpowered. Power creep is real, and I suspect we see the ban hammer, or the nerf hammer rather, come in hard and onto a few of these cards. I don't know anything. I have no inside information, but I do want to say that I think I see a few cards that to me seem must have, and therefore at least are in the conversation around overpowered, and maybe some reining in is necessary. All of the cards are available on Mav, and we can peek at some of that information, but those are going to be visible from that level 1 status, which to me is not the place where we really are going to see the true overpowered nature. So we're going to look at what I've seen online with the content released by content creators, because there we saw full levels of everything. And so that's about 12 or 15, maybe 20 cards that we've seen and that I've covered already on this channel in one way or another, for public or for members only. But in there, I just want to focus not so much on how I see it being impacted, but more so which are the cards, maybe 3 to 5 cards that are really, to me, overpowered right now. Let's talk about it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel1258. You can call me 12. We cover Splinterlands all the time, but also blockchain-based video games of other kinds, right? Because this game has changed my life, and I think this NFT, this new revolutionary type of video game that rewards you for your time and attention in a financial way, not just with entertainment, yes, with entertainment, but also with finances, is something totally different, and I think that's worth attending to. So if you agree, stick around, stay tuned, like and subscribe. Okay, so let's pull up Discord. In Discord, I've got all of the recent Rebellion stuff. We've got everything from, the starter set of the level 1s that you can see in the Mav stuff. All this is very interesting. If you haven't seen it, it's available in Mav chat. I'll hold that up on the screen for a minute if you want to take a screenshot. This is the fire team. I'll put them all up before we get deep diving into the cards. I will say I love this artwork. And some of these strike me as very cool and particularly powerful. That's got ambush with 4 damage, with 4 speed, yes, it's 9 mana, but and yes, it's legendary, but good amount of damage, and it's going to act in turn 0, which to me is deeply important. It's going to be truly game changing. This was one of the cards they released, or they announced and leaked, I guess, the artwork of during Splinterfest. Been excited for that one for years, literally. Can't wait to actually be able to play with it on the 5th. This card looks amazing, the art style in particular. Anyways, let's move on quickly. Again, I don't want to guess based on level 1s whether something is overpowered, but there are a few that I know well of, like Dark, which I had the opportunity to cover as a leak from the team. And man, that card is very, very interesting. Definitely in the contention for the conversation around maybe 3 to 5 cards that probably need some reining in. Interesting. Look at this, reporter covering the battle between the Rebellion and Chaos Legion. Okay, some cool ones again. That looks like a character from He-Man, or maybe Lord of the Rings. Green. We'll move faster through this because I don't really want to focus on the level 1s. But in case you want to grab it screenshot wise, there it is for you. I love this. Looks like Grog. Flash, one of Flash's arch enemies. Keep going. Death Splinter. At the level 1, nothing particularly driving me, -2 hit strength or reflection shield. 1 key reflection shield could be pretty juicy. Look at this over here with the 5 damage output at the level 1. I saw this on Hawks covered. He did a pack opening when the Mavs went live with the Rebellion, and he drew one of these. Oh, Barash Kukor. This is the master of the card that I got to leak, which is, where is he? Death. That's it, right? It's Death. So archery, double strike. There it is. Barash Kukor, the lore of this card, Avariciodius, I'm going to say, his lore says that this is his master, although this buddy is like trying to like betray and like overthrow. And anyways, 5 damage at level 1. I hope that number stays 5 all the way up, but you see more and more abilities. That's probably what will happen. Okay, carrying on. These are the neutrals, right? No, dragons, my bad. Dragons. Look at this. That to me is just nuts. To be able to throw ambush on 2 different characters. There is a possibility of that just breaking the game. Because turn 0 motions mean deletions in the right context. And this being a summoner tactics means you see the battlefield as it is before you act, meaning like speed considered, etc. blinds. You know if your monster is going to, with turn 0 action, strike and kill somebody or not. You know it. It's not a question of if. It's like, for instance, I have magic, you don't have phase. I have an opportunity monster who has magic. I know I'm going to hit you with it if I apply ambush to it, and I know I'm going to kill you because you don't have phase. There are scenarios where my speed would be too slow to hit you, and I'm guessing. But I'm saying if ambush was used well and wisely from a card like this, and you can get 2 of them, by the way, that seems like it could absolutely break the game. That one card got to be on the list. And it's the thing about this, looking at the summoners, is that, you know what I mean? Like it's not going to get more and more ambushes if you make it to level 4. It's going to have 2, or it's going to have 1 of the lookout, right? That's lookout. Yeah. And lookout's amazing also. But man, I would say if you can bring 2 ambushers and delete 2 of my cards before turn 1, game over. Just game over. And I know we could counterplay. I mean, you can see what I'm doing. When I drop ambush, you have a chance to respond with your summoner tactics, but not if you don't have summoner tactics summoners. So I mean, again, Rebellion is a card like Shimonok Arcane so good? This is a question, not a I don't know for sure, but is it so good because of that ambush capacity that it is must have? If so, that's probably like, let's rein it in a little. Maybe it's 1 ambush, not 2. I think we see some sort of nerf for a card like that. That's on my list of top 5 here. Keep going. The other summoners are definitely in that conversation too, I suppose. But, tank heal to me is interesting. But I wouldn't say that this is, of course it's awesome. Like you throw a tank heal on Almo Cambio. And that's pretty juicy, right? Like you're never going to hit me. And if you do hit me in the right situations, I'm going to self-heal. And by the way, I have 16 hit points. So I heal 5 hit points every time I heal. Like there are times where that's really going to move the needle. So for sure, that's strong too. +2 speed's crazy. On 1 monster, again, Almo Cambio, Nightmare, anything with phase, anything with last stand, that's really, really exciting. I don't think that's nearly as relevant as double ambush, as 2 ambushers that you can choose, people who don't have ambush, and it's not even a question of whether I kill you. It's I know I'm going to kill you. So again, I think that dragon summoner, something's got to give there. On this page, I love this turtle. I love that turtle. That's so cool looking. Life and Earth. Oh, I love that artwork. It looks rad. I love this wolf. This artwork on the white team so far is my favorite. Because this summoner looks crazy good. I don't see any here that I'm unimpressed with, except for maybe Sky Spire, and I don't hate him because he makes me think of Avatar: Last Airbender, which I'm a huge fan of. Parched Harpy. Yeah, I mean, every one of these cards look amazing in terms of art style. In terms of damage and utility, this card's going to do 2 damage +6, and it's got the taunt. But yeah, the taunt is going to mean that the armor goes down fast, which means that is not going to do what you think it's going to do. I wonder what it looks like at the higher levels. I know that Bulldog covered that one. Maybe I could see that later. Let's keep going. So far, the only one that I know I want to include is that Summoner. This is what I imagined would be appropriate for the flank. Some massive meat shield that you throw in the first position, you create a flank from the second, and then you get that reach damage into your second position. Now this is a neutral, meaning it can be utilized with any melee monster to implement reach for the second position. I was talking with a friend today in my members only live, and we talked about how Grund in the second spot with reach, double striking, high melee damage would be really sexy, and Uladin Overseer could enable that because again, neutral allows partnership with every team, including Earth. We saw Mantaroth. It's a promo card. Clearly a powerful card, especially because the armor and the shield means that the armor stays up longer, which means that I forget what that's called, armor impact or whatever will happen more often and to greater effect. Very interesting, exciting card. Possibly in the conversation. You know what? That's what I want to. I want to open the gate just by looking at those and just quickly perusing them. But I'm feeling like just from what I previously saw from my deep dive on the cards that were made available to us. -2 magic. That seems pretty badass. +2 archery. I'm just checking the summoners quickly. +2 melee for 2 monsters. That's pretty cool. I would say Baresh Kukor is this is I'm like, where are you gonna go with that? How high is that getting? What other abilities are in there? With the Fury, by the way, if it lands a shot on your taunt monster, good luck. Especially if you don't have void armor. So, okay. So, Shimonok Arcane is number 1 on my needs a nerf list. I think Barash Kukor is probably in the conversation. However, I didn't see its max level, so maybe the abilities. I'm gonna abstain my opinion on that, but I'm just saying asterisks here because 5 damage output on the first level. But here are the other 4 that I feel quite clearly that Nimble Duke Scout actually needs some nerfing, and I said so on X. Just actually this evening, I dropped the comment, said which Rebellion card will be nerfed first. Drop the image in the comments, and I dropped this one, and that's where this is my inclination, because I mean this kit at max level, it's a common, it's maxed out, it's a fire, it's 2 mana. 2 mana is just such a crazy amount. Like, it's so inexpensive for what this kit is. With the 6 speed, it is extremely evasive. I love this off tank. I love a card that is going to dodge you one, if you come soft and bring like a 1 speed, a 2 speed, and you don't have True Strike, good luck. Because I'm not gonna, with a card like this, I'm not gonna just leave it at 6 and leave it be. When you play a speed character, or if your team is built around speed, and you would be building it if you're using Nimble, then what are you going to do? You're going to add more speed. You're going to add more swiftness. You're going to utilize slow. You're going to bring out blind. You might use dodge. You might use, right? There's ways to bring even more complexity to your evasiveness. If this is part of my strength, I want to accentuate that strength, that advantage. And so with Nimble Duke, I think first of all, it's so crazy fast. That's a huge, amazing starting point. Second of all, it's so cheap. Third of all, it's got a good amount of hit points for 2 mana. Finally, it's so appropriate for Weapons Trainer, and we know Weapons Trainer is going to buff. And I think Weapons Trainer, if there's a conversation around buff nerf, like I hate to say it, because I actually want them to change how Weapons Trainer works. Weapons Trainer is very underwhelming, but I think moving Weapons Trainer from, what it is currently to what they've said it's going to be, which is they will implement a neighboring Weapon Trainer will weapons train your non-trained weapon. Like Nimble Duke will learn a different skill, a melee, physical, archery, or magic damage from a Weapon Trainer, and it will be equal to the trainer's ability in terms of damage output. to a max of 4, and it will not go away if the weapon trainer dies. All of that combination of reality or facts around how weapon trainer is going to work itself might need to be rethought. I think that sounds quite extreme. I want it. I don't want to say that because I want that to be implemented. It sounds a lot of fun. It makes it sound like the non-attacking monsters will be really enjoyable and satisfying to play. But then that means that many of them are low mana, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. And so then I started thinking through, okay, wow, are we talking, now 12 mana, 14 mana is super easy to field? Maybe, because of Rebellion and some of these amazing monsters that once you partner them with a weapon trainer. My point is, I think there's a lot of really talented non-attacking monsters, especially in Rebellion, but not just. And as we make weapon trainers so much better, I think Nimble Duke just immediately needs to be pulled in if weapon trainer is going to be what it's supposed to be. And I say that because of the speed and the hit points for the mana cost, but then imagine the kit, because again, there's a weapon trainer on the fire team that does melee damage. She'll receive the melee and she'll inspire herself as well as her trainer. Then the blast damage and the backfire in conjunction with this speed is so just on brand, meaning they're both of these all of this kit feels like it's rowing in the same direction. You want to use speed to destroy your enemy quickly. Blast makes so much sense in that context. You want to use speed to your betterment from a defensive perspective. Then of course backfire is part of that kit. It's so cohesive. I love this card. I hope it doesn't get changed because I want it and I want to win with it. But I do think this merits some rethinking. Maybe one less speed, or maybe one more mana and leave it as it is. Or yeah, I don't know, man. The blast to me seems a bit wild. Yes, we have a lot of reflection shields. I just think something about this kit is a little bit much. So that's number 2. Let's move on. I could probably put this in the same conversation because again, 2 mana, huge hit points, and weapon train capacity. But I don't want this just to be a weapons trainer, nerf conversation, because in some sense, when I talk about how good Nimble Duke is, I'm really saying weapon trainer buff is really good. Therefore, but I would say comparing Al-Bahu versus Nimble Duke, this card is worse. Triage is great. I love having a triage for 2 mana. I love it. I do. And the archery reflection will be nice. And the True Strike is interesting because you will weapon train this card. But I don't think I feel as strongly in terms of the cohesiveness as I do with Nimble Duke. So Nimble Duke I want to see on that top 5 nerf, needs a nerf. Helheim, I'm okay with that. This card seems quite powerful, especially if you recognize what the armor could be and the potential for dropping a few extra armors on there. If you can get a summoner tactics that drops +2 armor, you're up to 4 and you're doing 2 over here and 4 over here. And then last standing makes everything go up 50%. And that is including your armor. So I'm saying this is bigger and badder than you think for 7 mana. Now this is where I say this feels like stronger than it deserves to be probably. Yeah, this looks quite trivial. Maybe you even think this is trivial. But remember, Protect and Summoners and Summoner Tactics can amp this armor easily and make that attack so much more juicy. So, strong card. I think it deserves possibly a little bit more mana cost, but I'm not putting it on my list of top 5. Vizier I like a lot. I think it's vulnerable enough that you can get away with leaving it like that. Chaos Jailer. Anything with the ambush to me is got to be looked at closely. Ambush is an ability that might literally change the game, and therefore, if you give me the ability to delete somebody on turn 0, watch out. And with this, we have the slow, which means I'm gonna make sure it's gonna give me a greater probability of my melee landing. 3 speed's not excellent, and because this speed is not excellent, I'm not particularly worried about this one really being in that OP scenario. Mind you, it has op, and this slow will increase the probability of that landing. Nevertheless, it's not OP in my mind. Let's carry on. Arya Bandit to me feels great. But, you know, I'm not worried about it. It's an archer. It's a pretty high hit point archer, but I'm not worried about it. This one, Wailing Wraith, is probably in the conversation, because if you look at what the armor will do, it is the armor attacks as well as the melee. You think, well, it's only 2 melee for 4 damage for 4 mana. Way more. You could throw a bear in front of this thing, put this in the second spot, you're up to 5 armor. You throw there's an eagle archer card. I forget its name right now. Protector or something. It's an eagle, it's an archer, it has a protect on it, and that would be, you're now up to 7. You're up to 7 armor. Maybe your summoner brings in another 2 or 1 or something like that. So we're talking 2 damage plus 7 more from your armor impact with the affliction plus a rust on your opponent, which is going to prevent them from using, for instance, the same sort of approach against me. This to me, something's probably got to give in terms of maybe the armor that it starts with, or maybe how this works. Maybe even this ability is like half of the damage. It doesn't, I don't know, does it need to be 3 armor means 3 damage? That seems pretty wild to me. Even for 4 mana, I wonder if you could just maybe just go boom, get rid of the affliction. That'd be a big, significant nerf. But I say this card is exceptional. This to me feels a must-have. That's number 3. The Wraith, Wailing Wraith is definitely number 3 because of how the armor impact or whatever that's called does work. And the reach position makes it secure, resilient, safe. Dark Dead Blast is probably in there too, because magic is the most important weapon trainer, and we know what weapon trainer is going to the buff that's coming to it, and it's the most important because magic can fire from any position, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, doesn't matter. So you can put this card in the 5th spot and prop up the 6th and 4th spot with 3 magic damage output. And the swiftness is a global team buff, which is amazing, especially since, even though this is slow, the rest of your team can be super fast. You could bring out, help initiate with 6 speed in the 1st or 2nd spot and make that one of your beneficiaries of the weapon trainer, etc. And with the dodge, I like this. Yes, it's a bit strange with the dodge and the swiftness and the speed being so low. It's like it's evasive, but it's also like super slow, which is like a strange conflict. But if those things were more cohesive, if this was like a 4 speed, there's no way this is a 7 mana. I would say this gets in the conversation for needs a nerf just because of how weapon trainer works, and if they're committed to making it change that weapon trainer work the way that they say they do, I think you need to bring this down a little bit or this up a little bit. Hit points down, mana up, or possibly you get rid of the dodge. But I would say that that's less important than maybe bringing the hit points down to 6 or the mana up to 8. Those are sort of the thoughts I've got on Darg, and it was a pleasure to cover that one. So I'm saying that's number 4 for me. We'll get one more. Of the ones that I know max levels, remember, we're not really looking so much at the level 1s that we can see in the Mav channel or in the Mav server. Mirror Put Magician. I love the kit. I wouldn't say it's overpowered, especially since a couple healers are moving out of the modern and into the wild, meaning the white team actually only has 1 healer left. And it's only little guy's only doing one damage. It's a good healer though. Really good. Flame Mephit might be number 5, but we got to circle back. Just because of the mana cost and its evasiveness, this is a good little off tank with the flight and the backfire and the speed. And remember, with fire being your summoner here, you could use Conquer Yaska. You bring that 6 speed. It's possible to, summoner tactics your way into some dodge or just some other capacity or ability, a phase maybe. This could get nuts if you bring that dragon summoner that brings phase. So maybe, but let's keep looking. Like, look at this damage, look at this speed, and imagine with that dragon summoner that we showed earlier, you give this guy ambush. Picture this thing attacking on the turn 0, and by the way, I guess turn 0 will act like its own round. So if there is 4 ambushers, 2 on my team, 2 on your team, the ambushers will fire probably based on their speed to separate like who fires first. And it'll be the same rules as if it were turn one. So imagine I have 2 ambushers, you have 2 ambushers. Mine are both magic, yours are both melee. They're both legendary or otherwise. I think mine are going to fire first as magic, and then yours are going to fire, you know, third and fourth as melee. And so I'm saying magic, huge speed, not going to be deleted easily. This thing, if you could put ambush on this, that's nuts. So doesn't mean that Thanalor needs a nerf. It's one more indication really about how that dragon summoner needs a nerf. 2 ambushes? Are you kidding me? Thanalor, strong card, but 12 mana is not cheap. Very strong, very, very, very strong. And this scavenger will get out of control for sure. This is a very strong card and might be qualified for my 5th nerf. Flame Mephit or Thanalor. Let's keep looking. Oh yeah, there's some juicy ones over here. There's some really juicy ones like Ruinseer Savaya. It's just a kit. Like, I mean, cleanse, protect, and we know what protect is going to do nowadays. Repair leaning so well with the protect, and again, we know what armor does in terms of being an offensive skill nowadays. And so the repair plus the blind is always necessary. So powerful, so useful. If you can bring blind and then in conjunction with phase and speed, watch out. So again, could be my number 5 nerf, hard to say. Lurking Puffer, I'm a huge fan of this. Again, same reasons I talked about earlier. And the kit works so well with the green team. So again, could be nerfable. I don't feel like it's as broken as maybe some of those other ones that I've held up. Mantaroth, look at this kit, dude, with its own self-repair and the True Strike. So it's got 3 and the 4. And the shield makes the armor stand up longer. And the blast, are you kidding? Yeah, but I mean, it's legendary. And it's a promo card, so I kind of get why it's so juicy. Blackmorn Nymph. Not overpowered, but very strong. Okay. NS Soothsayer might be it too. Because of the lookout, you could put this thing in a position. First of all, this with his 9 hit points is not going to be the target of an opportunity monster. Therefore, I put this in the 5th spot. I put somebody in the 6th. I put somebody in the 4th. I'm protecting 2 of my own agents from your attack, your melee or physical attack. I think it's just physical, archery or melee. It might be magic as well that protects for lookout. I don't know. But this card to me is amazing and is must have and might be overpowered. But as I look back at other cards, 6 mana, yeah, this is badass. Oy, oy, oy. It might be in there. It's badass. It's must have. Does it need a cleanse? Does it need dodge? Like, I mean, for 6 mana, it looks strong, right? I'm okay. I think I'm ready. My number 5. I think my number 5. I think my number 5 has to be. Oh, I'm torn. I'm really torn. I think it's got to be on this Soothsayer. For 6 mana, this just does so much. It's so powerful with the tank heal, with the lookout. This is a huge damage reduction. Like, it's not a little trivial ability. And it because of where you can place this due to its magic or its attack type, this lookout becomes so powerful. Meaning, you can place it in a position to affect 2 of your cards, not just 1. Whereas if it was a melee or without reach, where do you put that card? If this is melee without reach, you're putting it in the 1st spot, meaning it only lookouts for the 2nd spot, and that's actually only in a situation where an opportunity attacks. So the maximum effectiveness for lookout is like going to truly be in that 5th spot or 4th spot where you're affecting 2 monsters beside you. And this does that so well with the kit that it already has: magics, tank heal, cleanse, dispel. Dispel has become so important, especially because of, as you put protect on some of your monsters that attack with armor, I can dispel that away, reducing your damage output. You get speed buffs and whatnot. There's so many different buffs nowadays. Dispel has become even more powerful. And weapon training is a great example. We talked about how powerful weapon training is going to be. Being able to dispel that away is super important. I also saw when I first covered this card how powerful this thing's going to be with the blue team and the weapons trainers. It's just like I see a crazy team happening between, maybe particularly with like Bakjira, the Kelp Initiate, Chaos Agent, and this guy. Like, I mean, that is such a crazy resilient team, and they're gonna have or Bakjira and that new weapon trailer melee opportunity monster with the shield in the second spot, and then Anis Soothsayer, and then there's just so many cool ways that this work. I think something has to a little bit on this one, and I think that's a good place to land the plane. So in summary, definitely that Dragon Summoner. This is number one. That 2 ambush is just too much. I can't see how that could possibly be left untouched. Nimble Scout is just too quick, too cohesive of a card. It's great. I want it. If they keep it, I'll absolutely acquire it. Alabahu, interesting, but didn't make the top 5. Zebejin, I think it's going to be far, like, really, really powerful, especially for 7 mana, but didn't make the cut for the top 5. Wailing Wraith was number 3 on terms of needs a nerf. Darg was number 4, needs a nerf due to weapon trainer OP nature. And then finally, it was a real close conversation between Flame Method, who I didn't fully expand on, but is super evasive, super dangerous, super, especially archer only rule sets, super interesting. Lord Thalinor, really, truly, this one was just a little too small to merit my nerf call. And Lord Thalinor, 12 mana, not cheap, so in that sense makes it a bit more reasonable. But these cards are gonna be out of control. Just watch. They're gonna be really powerful. And we landed the plane with Anis Soothsayer. Okay. Thanks, guys. Let me know in the comments below which of these monsters that we know the full max level are you thinking will be the first to be nerfed. And finally, are those the ones that you're seeing at the low levels, the ones that are being shown at the soulbound levels? No, at the starter card levels on the Mav server, are any of those striking you as already overpowered based on the level 1 data you're finding? Let me know in the comments below. Have an amazing day. God bless.